yeah, there's a guy sitting next to me, and then whoosh. I mean, everybody else actually, by the time I got through, they were all gone, and they quizzed me about everything, what do you do, what do you like, what do you do, and when I got done with that, my dad was at the airport getting a page from my mom about every 15 minutes, driving him nuts. And he said, okay, you can go, we're going to recommend, we can't tell you not to talk to the press, but you're one of our prime witnesses, this guy's out someplace, don't talk to the press. And then the next guy says, oh yeah, there's 200 people, press outside this door. And I said, well, how do I get by that? What do I do? And he goes, you hungry? And I said, well, sure. So he gets the Northwest agent to give me a sandwich. And he goes, okay, there's two great big state patrolmen on their side of that door. As soon as you open it, they'll push out and open up a lane for you. And he said, Keith, just eat that sandwich and don't stop walking. And it worked perfectly. I mean, they opened the door just like a football play. The guys just spread that open. I walked through, made it past them, and he had to call my mom and tell her that I was okay. Side story here. My dad had parked in a no parking, and through the ham operators found out this is a hijacking. He, in the radio had it. My mom's cooking her little baby boy his favorite dinner, and she's got the news on, and they have breaking news where all the Seattle fireboats are going around Elliott Bay, cruising around because this plane with a bomb is above that she knew I was on, and they were going to pick up the bodies with them.
So I talked to Bill a lot, a bit, but some interesting things. One of the things that I discovered, Bill brought a box last year to give to me, or let me look at, and it was some stuff his mom had kept. And the thing in there that I was so tickled by is his mother wrote a letter to Northwest Orient saying, thank you for taking care of my son, da 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 da. And the letter that they sent back to her, I got it here, it says, Dear Mrs. Mitchell, it was a pleasure to read your letter of November 26th concerning Northwest Orient. We place a great deal of emphasis on passenger service, and it is gratifying to learn that our personnel were able to contribute to the enjoyment of Flight 305. I have forwarded a copy of your letter to our Director of In-Flight Services so he may personally commend them. I know they will appreciate your thoughtfulness in writing on the enjoyment of your flight. And so, clearly a boilerplate response. No. And number two, the first time Cooper comes to his attention is when Cooper spills a drink, which is interesting because you have no memory of this.
I have no memory of that.
Right. And you also have no memory.
It's on the 302.
It's on the 302. It says, I first noticed him when I looked over and he spilled his drink. And my thinking on that has always been that Cooper had already drank his drink, and this was ice he spilled. As you know, if you spill ice, you can kind of clean it up a little bit on the plane. If you spill a drink, I think the stewardesses never mentioned Cooper spilling anything. So I think that it wasn't a big spill, which means it probably is ice. So Cooper probably already drank it. But it is just fascinating to me that we also did not remember the paper bag, the mystery bag. Bill was one of our only three people, Bill, Tina Mucklow, and Nancy House. Remember Cooper with the mystery bag. And he has no memory of that either, which is kind of how that goes.
University of Oregon education, that's what
And I do enjoy the story, though, about your Italian class. Tell us story.
Right. So I was in my second year of Italian, and we had to write a lot of essays in Italian, and all this stuff. So I came in and I hate that class. I wrote a very cryptic story in Italian about the hijacking and what happened. I mean, this is like the following week. And so she, great teacher, she was, and she started reading this, and it obviously didn't make sense to her. She finally just said, just tell me in English what happened. You know, I mean, it's just, this is frustrating. Tell me in English what happened. Okay. So I spent a lot of essays on D.B. Cooper.
Well, and the FBI.
I had FBI over 2 or 3 times a week for over a year, showing me every military parachute club, every parachute club. I mean, it was all, and they'd always bring like 8 to 10 photographs, and I'd look at them, but I mean, they started. I was up in home in Redmond for 2 or 3 days after Thanksgiving, and they came over there. Then I went back down to Eugene, and they would send the pictures there. I mean, so it was in Eugene back in the 70s was not a place where you wanted FBI to come over to your
Dormitory.
yeah. So, but I have nothing. Where will you be? And I've been my mom's, and so I told my mom that. So my mom had 3 or 4 friends over to, meet a real FBI agent, and I had 3 or 4 friends over. And he came over, and I introduced everybody. This is Agent whatever, and this is my mom and dad. Named everybody off and I want to say there were 8 people, but I can't remember that. And we went in for a half hour and looked at pictures and everything. Then we came out, and the guy goes, "Nice to meet you," and just rattles the names back off.
Wow.
And I said, and we're walking out to his car. How'd you do that? And all you gotta do is listen. So that wasn't. I mean, they were impressive. I like them.
Yeah, and it's
I really heard an FBI agent lose his composure because he was mad.
Yeah.
Because if they, I said, well, these guys showed up last night, and he that would have ruined their case if it was truly D.B. Cooper.
well, and what's interesting, especially interesting, is that when the Newsweek reporters